The Hyperloop in Israel. I want to talk about this today. This is something that a few years ago I was like, oh, this would be a great idea. I actually even proposed it to a few people, started writing some things together, just putting a plan together. Obviously, the Hyperloop is not a fully tested product. It's not something that you can just say, oh, just like you would put in a fast train, you would, or a maglev, you would put a Hyperloop. No, it's still obviously in research stages. This is not yet feasible, but we're going to discuss the concept of it and why I think that Israel would be actually probably one of the greatest places to put it in. So that's what today's conversation is going to be about. This came up recently, again, a couple days ago. We were having a conversation about it because something came in about this alternate concept to the Suez Canal. This idea there's like a joint Israel, Saudi Arabia, maybe another country that floated this plan of digging out a new canal, basically from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean, kind of going through Eilat and kind of snaking near the border of the Sinai all the way into the Mediterranean. This was floated for a couple of reasons, and actually in research, this is not something that's new. This was actually, I think, floated first in like the 80s or something. So we're looking at that plan. So there's like two alternates to the Suez Canal, but I think the Hyperloop by itself is something very interesting. So I think there's three things that the Hyperloop would be very, very good for Israel. First and foremost is the distance. The Hyperloop works very, very well from about 500 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers. Anywhere below that, you might not be able to reach speed fast enough, and there's a few things over there that maybe regular trains or maglevs or super fast trains that are going 400, 500 kilometers an hour are still very good at that distances. Between 500 and 1,000 kilometers, you're looking at something where you can actually achieve speeds very close, maybe even surpass a little bit an airplane. And then above that, you've got airplane territory. So this is kind of like this little cutout of where Hyperloop would go. And the distance from Eilat up to Kiryat Shmona, by the way, in the north, is just shy of 500 kilometers. It really depends which way you go, but you're kind of in that sweet spot. So there's three things that I think would be great for having something like a Hyperloop in Israel. The first thing is shipping, and we're going to get into that. Second thing is military, moving military equipment around incredibly fast. And the third thing is obviously civilian. So should we go backwards? I was going to go forwards, but let's go backwards in passengers. Obviously, if you can move from anywhere in the country, at that speeds, you're looking definitely underneath an hour from tip to tip. And depending on where you are, you could probably reach from the center to any of the points in about 20 minutes. We'll look into like cost of pedestrian because I'm still looking into those kind of costs. Obviously, I think the big stuff really comes from shipping and military. So the second thing, as we're going backwards, is going to be military. Obviously, you would have pods that are able, or capsules that are able to transport military equipment, so like a Merkava tank or other large, I don't know how large we can go with these kind of things, but obviously you would need to design these pods to be able to take them. But imagine the concept of being able to move heavy artillery across the country in dozens of minutes, right? To be able to get from Eilat to the north in under an hour, 30 minutes, about 45 minutes. Game changer from anywhere in the country to be able to move around these things. And you're not just limited to, let's say, tanks. You could, any kind of artillery, even any batteries of moving launchers around, moving like the Iron Dome around, things like that. And also moving troops around to be able to get onto a capsule and be able to move anywhere. In that kind of time, maneuvering the military as where it needs to be, I think is a huge cost opportunity. It's a huge opportunity for them. I think that it's a great investment. Again, there's numbers to be played around. I'm still looking into the military ones because they're a little bit harder figures to get. But that's the second kind of thing. And the third thing is shipping. So alternate shipping lanes, or to be able to allow it, because Israel, the Levant, is situated between three continents, basically is the center. This is where all shipping over land used to take. To be able to make a route that continues that either over land, or to be able to make an alternate from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean without going through the Suez Canal is massive. There's a lot of countries that would do that for geopolitical reasons, but there's also a lot of reasons to do that for fast to be able to move faster, to be able to actually have a shortcut. But then you also have now we discussed geopolitical, but then you also have like if there's ever issues, right? So if the Suez Canal ever becomes blocked, like it did, I think in 2021 by the Evergreen shipping container, I forgot what the name of the incident is. But if that ever happens, if you have a alternate lane right next to it, that's massive, right? So for a lot of those reasons, there's a lot of countries that actually would put a lot of money into this. And if you can have automated ports, we were looking into this, you can kind of you can unload a massive shipping shipping container, a boat with lots of shipping containers. I'm failing what the name of it, but a massive boat. You can unload that in a couple hours with some of the more advanced areas. I think you have ports like the Port of Rotterdam, and you have another massive port. Do I have the name over here? Let's see if we can get Shanghai Yangshan. Those are mostly automated, and you can unload a large shipping container within hours, it says over here. So if you have systems in the port of Eilat, and then you have maybe the port of Ashdod or the port of Haifa, and you have a land bridge now, you're able to load and offload. So the time it takes you to kind of move around that, or especially if there's problems and you can't go through the Suez Canal, to be able to do that, you're saving a lot of time and energy. You've got the alternate, you've got lots of countries that would like to do that. There's lots of different things over here. We have different pods that could have 30 to 40 shipping containers. Obviously a massive shipping, a container ship will have hundreds or even thousands. So you're looking at, there's lots of different costs over here that we were playing with. Also you have the idea of, so this alternate canal, I think we had estimates of them being, I think, between 100 to 200 billion, about upwards of $100 billion, because you're digging out a canal from complete land. Like, it's very, very expensive. But if you look into the estimates of what the Hyperloop was going to be between San Francisco and LA, and taking into account inflation and everything, you're looking at between 10 and 20 billion dollars to be able to bring that from these three places, to be able to recoup your costs and actually make it profitable, is very likely. Obviously, it will be a little bit more expensive because you're looking into land acquisition, obviously proper infrastructure and security. So to be able to secure this is not easy. But even if you're looking at, in the terms of $25 billion, just like the shipping opportunities from countries that will either choose you for geopolitical reasons or to be able to just have an alternate shipping direction, and a different alternative is massive. The idea of over here is, because you have the length is about 500 kilometers, which is great. You would have one massive line. I'm still plotting out the proper cities and kind of looking into like where are the best ones, the perfect cities. But also I think you can have branches off. So let's say, for example, you go to Eilat, you might have a section in Beersheba. You would branch off probably in Ashdod, I'm thinking right now. So you'd have the port there. You'd have a branch off in Tel Aviv. The question, would you have a branch off in Jerusalem, or would the branch in Tel Aviv allow you to then take a fast train? And even though that's not as effective, maybe that's the better one. Still looking into that. Then I would say probably the next one would be like something like Haifa. And the next one would be like something like Kiryat Shmona, or depending on which side. Again, looking between different cities. But if you have a main rail that runs kind of through the center of the country, or again, maybe through the Jordan Valley, again, looking into what makes more sense by the terrain, but also obviously security, to be able to protect it, where's the best places for those. But again, once you're bringing all these things together, shipping an alternate route that is cheaper than an alternate to the Suez Canal, and having overland automated, and having a Hyperloop that can do that in 10 to 20 minutes from Eilat to any of the ports. Well, to Ashdod probably 10, 20 minutes, to Haifa probably 20, maybe 30 minutes. Be able to do that, having military that can go from main base, close to main bases, and be able to go anywhere in the country in less than an hour. Massive. And then just for pedestrians to be able to do that. And then hopefully soon, if we achieve peace in this area of land, this Hyperloop could move into between Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon. We could have a crazy cool Hyperloop in this center of the world. All right, that's it for today.